Okay, what do you want me to say?
You're improvising.
What do you want me to talk about?
Anything you want.
What do you mean anything? What's the subject?
A to Z regarding New York City. If you want to shut on Eric Adams,
Anything I want to say?
about New York City. I was explaining. If you want to shut on Eric Adams, shut on Eric Adams. If you want to praise Curtis Sliwa, Curtis.
Okay, okay.
Wait, I gotta get the timer on.
All right, now that I know what I can say, fine.
You gonna say anything?
Ready?
Oh yeah, that's why I snapped my fingers. That's a.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Well, I'm not a dog.
No, I mean they do that for. So
Anyway, I was thinking about the mayoral campaign. What's going on in New York City? Everybody is frightened about Mondami, that he's going to become mayor. Well, I've been in several campaigns, and especially in Mayor Koch's campaigns. I first started in his campaign for city council. I ran his campaigns for Congress, and I also helped run his campaigns for mayor. But once you get to be mayor, it's a different world. I'm not putting down Mondami because he doesn't know what he doesn't know. He's only 33 years old. He has no experience in running anything, and he's in for a shock when he gets into City Hall. Now, it could be he's brilliant and he hires the best people to help run the government, because that's what he's going to need. Because when we got into City Hall, when Mayor Koch became mayor, the first year was very difficult. We had 7 deputy mayors, and it was chaos. But the public didn't know it because Ed Koch was good in talking to the public. He made them feel confident that he was mayor. And he would say to everyone, I need 12 years to fix things up. The city is a mess. It'll take me 12 years. And people believed him. And they would say to him, Mayor, I know you need 12 years, but could you do this for me? Could you do this for our community? And in the first year, we had to say no to everything because the city didn't have any money. Now, when Mondami comes in, he wants to freeze the rents, which you could do for maybe a year or two. But the landlords need to make money in order to reinvest the money into their apartments. If you don't reinvest in your building, what will happen is what happened in the late 60s and early 70s, where the landlords just abandoned the buildings, a lot of them set them on fire. I mean, half the Bronx burned down. A third of Harlem was burned down. Parts of Brooklyn. It was a mess. And so we had all these abandoned buildings, and we had all these fires. That's one thing, if you want to freeze the rents. Secondly, he's going to want to raise the taxes on the rich. Well, the governor, Hochul, is running for re-election next year. Do you think she's going to want to raise taxes? She wants to get re-elected. The worst thing you can do is raise taxes when you're running for re-election. So it's going to be difficult for her to give him money to help with his programs. One of his programs is to set up grocery stores in each borough. That's very nice, but to run a grocery store if you talk to anybody that runs grocery stores in the city of New York, they're lucky if they make 2% profit for a year. So your inventory has to be controlled very closely. When you order stuff, you got to order what's going to sell so your inventory keeps turning over. Because if you get stuck with stuff that doesn't sell, you're going to be loaded up with products. And anyway, running grocery stores is very difficult. Now maybe you can bring in an expert to run the 5 stores. I don't know how the bodegas are going to feel about having competition from city-owned grocery stores. That's number 2. Number 3, he has got to be able to make everyone in the city feels like he's their mayor and not just the ones that voted for him. So far, he's done very well by reaching out to people. That's very good. But obviously, the business community is frightened to death of him because he's a socialist. And all I can tell you is they were worried about Mayor Koch when he became mayor because they figured he was a liberal from Greenwich Village. But what he did is, when he became mayor, he reached out to the business community and said, I believe in capitalism and that people should be able to make a profit. Now, getting back to the campaign, he won the Democratic primary. You got Mayor Adams running as an independent. You've got Andrew Cuomo running as an independent. You've got Curtis Lewa on the Republican line, and you have Walden on an independent line. And these businessmen want to invest millions of dollars in one of them to beat Mondami. They don't understand what campaigns are about. Money is important, but money is not the number one issue. Issues are the number one issue. You can't, as Mondami has been very successful in doing, he ran on affordability, which is very nice. People think he's going to keep prices down. Well, in a capitalist system, it's whether the tariffs by the Trump administration, whether Trump is going to try to hurt the city of New York, because the rest of the country, the Republicans, are going to be running against the Democrats by attacking Mondami, calling them all socialists, and some of them will even call him a communist. So it's going to be very difficult for the Democratic Party to win with Mondami as mayor of the city of New York. Getting back to the campaign. So if you got Cuomo, Adams, and Walden and Sleeva running, they're going to split the votes. Cuomo said he's going to drop out if he's not in the lead. But if he's in the lead, do you think Mayor Adams is going to drop out? He's the mayor of the city of New York. He's not going to drop out. Sleeva's on the Republican line. The last thing in the world is that he wants to drop out. And Walden, well, it doesn't matter. He's probably get 1%. So Mondami is 80% to 90% that he is going to win re-election. And they're fooling themselves, these wealthy people, that they think they can stop him. They can stop him if there was one candidate and if Mondami screwed up. But so far he seems to be running a very good campaign on the issues and meeting people. It doesn't look like he's going to screw up, but who knows what he said in his background. For instance, he supposedly quoted that he wanted to defund the police, and now he's changed his mind about that. The police department, well, de Blasio found that out. When he became mayor, the police department hated him. They turned their backs on him. Can you imagine how they're going to feel about Mondami? Well, for now, that's what I'll be talking about.
I'm going to rarely interject between these takes and stuff, but I got to bring up two things I think are funny. One, when you're talking about businessmen and grocery stores, your boy came to mind, John Castellani's.
Well, I didn't want to mention his name.
Well, whatever. He's on the radio every day.
Well, he has a radio program.
No, he owns 2 stations.
I know.
Okay.
I've been on this.
I know. I got those episodes. Second point. I love when you're talking about the independent candidates. 2 out of the 3 currently have criminal records and charges pending on them.
Well, first of all, Adams' criminal charges have been dismissed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that yet.
Trump.
Oh, I forgot that.
Trump dismissed it. Mm-hmm. Cuomo does not have criminal charges. He has civil charges against him.
Wasn't he arrested, though?
No. He was forced out as governor because women accused
Yeah, no, I remember that. But that right after he was resigned, there was a headline, and of course, New York Post, Cuomo arrested for today.
No.
Okay.
No. He's just got these charges, civil charges.
Oh, just civil charges.
Right. People have been suing him. But so Mondami is lucky. He's got 2 flawed candidates running against him.
3.
What? I mean, Sliwa is not flawed. He's just not a popular candidate. And Walden is a nice guy.
You know what I loved about in 2022 when it was Sliwa versus Eric Adams? They're both vegan, they're both animal rights activists, but it really breaks down to the line, fake cop versus real cop.
Right. Yeah, well, he's built his reputation up since he's a young man that he was fighting crime. And he got away with it.
The FBI subpoenaed him to be an informant against the 5 families, with his informant partner being Reverend Al Sharpton.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it's all over. There are articles about it all over the internet that are confirmed and real.
Well, Al Sharpton has completely changed his
I know.
whole persona. When I first met him, he was a different person.
A lot of people say that era of him is his Egyptian pharaoh era.
Egyptian pharaoh.
Because he's like decked out in gold and tracksuits and shimmer and shit. Like,
yeah, he was very overweight. He had
tracksuits, yeah.
Track shoes and clothes.
Yeah.
In fact, we arrested him when Koch first became mayor. We arrested him and 3 other ministers because they wanted to sit in. We wouldn't do what they wanted, and we had them arrested and thrown out of City Hall.
Good. Okay.
We never had to sit in after that. These are things that I don't know if Mondami realizes the history of. I don't know if he's ever talked to anybody that worked at City Hall. You know.
The only person I can think of is Bloomberg.
Well, he might have talked to him, but.
He did his program.
What do you mean, did his program?
On Bloomberg Media.
He was interviewed?
I believe so, yeah.
But that didn't mean they told him how to be mayor. They just asked him questions.
Yeah, it was Bloomberg in studio. That's why I'm okay.
Right. he has one advisor that worked for Obama, Patrick Gaspard. But Patrick never ran City Hall. But he's very smart, and he gives good advice. He's been counseling him in his campaign.
I'm gonna try to less interject for the next moments, but for a quick pivot, just say if you can, if you got like some of the most like ridiculous stories, not like events, but just like conversations you had with people and made your head spin like, what are they going on about?
Well, I can't think of one right offhand. I just can't think of one
Okay.
right offhand.
Oh, I have another idea. It'll be funny. Do you like tell any like quotes or retellings of like when you worked in City Hall of like straight up hate mail you received?
Well, when I worked at City Hall, it was, you put in a lot of hours, and when you working for Ed Koch, who was a workaholic, and the only time he took off was Saturday nights and Sunday. Otherwise, he was always campaigning around the city, talking to people. We had town hall meetings once a month in a different community. And they would, any question, we have commissioners there. Anybody could get up and ask any question they want, and we give them an answer. And if we couldn't give them the answer, we told them we'd get back to them, which we did. We only had trouble in the 12 years with only 2 or 3 town hall meetings where people caused us trouble. In fact, one town hall meeting on the west side of Manhattan, someone threw an orange at him, and the policeman, the detective that was guarding him, stepped in front of Mayor Koch and caught the orange. But who knew it was an orange? It could have been a bomb, it could have been a rock. But the detective, without even hesitation, just stepped in front of the mayor and caught it. And that's the kind of detectives we had guarding him all the time. He got threatening letters all the time. His life was always being threatened. I'm sure he's not the only mayor that they just never made it public. Probably the other mayors have been threatened with their lives too. And in that respect, the police were very good at guarding people in the. One time, this was after Koch was mayor, I was at a city council meeting, and this guy got up and shot someone in the balcony at the city council. That was a frightening thing. Everybody was running away, and I just stood there because I didn't want to run into the cops. Maybe the cops would have thought that I was the shooter. So I waited for the cops to come in to City Hall. But luckily, there was a cop down at the council and shot the guy from a couple of 100 feet and hit him, killed him. That was very unusual that a cop could shoot that far away and hit the guy. There were a lot of experiences that I've had in politics and in government.
Forget about, just for a quick second, I gotta just pivot, just keep moving. Next, what I'm gonna ask is, politics aside, any interactions with public figures that were not in politics that made your skin crawl?
made my skid crawl. No, most people always were nice to me.
Okay.
You know, I did have a problem with Vice President Gore once.
Okay.
We were at a fundraiser and went over to him and said, I'm John LoCicero. I worked for Ed Koch, and he just turned and walked away from me like like I did something wrong to him. I was really shocked that a man of his stature would act like that. But, you know, maybe I caught him on a bad day. One thing was nice about working for the government and Ed Koch, I got to meet some of the top stars and government people, and you know, I mean Jerry Lewis, Sophia Loren, but it was kind of a celebrity because he was on Saturday Night Live, he was on all the late shows, the night shows. They would cast him in movies as a walk-on. So he was kind of a celebrity besides being mayor. That was 12 interesting years. And we kept up our friendship from I first met him in 1965 until he died. So we were friends for 50 years. And some of the other, we only have a couple of people left that were in our circle. Most of them have died.
Do you have any stories revolving, like, at the time, some really problematic, publicly despised donors during the Reagan years? I'm thinking of, like, specific people in my head, too.
Well, we met Ronald Reagan when he was running for president, and we invited him to Gracie Mansion for breakfast. And Mayor Koch asked him for two things. One, to help with Medicaid, which he wasn't about to do. That's a lot of money. And money for the Westway, which was $100 million. It might have been, I don't know, $1 million. Anyway, it was a nice breakfast. Everybody was very charming. And when he became president, we called up, Koch called up his intergovernmental person and said that the president had promised him two things. And the guy said, well, if he promised, you'll get it. And we got it.
Hmm.
And the same thing with President Carter. When President Carter was president, he would try to help us with the budget, and we would go down, the budget director and a couple of us would go down to the White House and meet with the budget people to try to help the city of New York with funds. And Koch was lucky. Well, he wasn't lucky. He and Governor Carey both had been congressmen, and so the Congress people trusted the two of them. So whenever one day went down and asked for something, and they asked the Governor Carey and Mayor Koch to keep their promise, they knew that they would keep their promise and what they would do. They trusted them. So we were able to get money out of the Congress. In fact, we even got loans from the government, and we paid the government back with interest. I think we were the only ones that have paid back the government with interest. So we had a good reputation.
Just to reiterate, when I said really disgusting donors, I was referring to the top of the list. That's often used as an example of that is publication or publisher Larry Flint.
I never met him.
The only reason I brought it up, it's on record. He was at the time one of the biggest donors on record for Reagan's presidential candidacy.
Oh yeah, but
yeah,
not with us. No, we didn't have a relationship with him. No.
If you can, do you have any ridiculous stories of some bizarre stuff you witnessed unfold at a fast food restaurant location in anywhere in the 5 boroughs?
No, but at least 4 or 5 times eating in one of those restaurants, the waitresses or the waiters spilled coffee on me. It seemed like they saw me coming. Everybody I was with didn't get the coffee, but I got the coffee spilled on me. It happened 4 or 5 times. It was ridiculous. Well, I don't know. I could talk about a lot of things. I could talk about growing up on the Lower East Side.
Okay, if you're going to do that, tell us the most ridiculous things you've witnessed that can be considered funny to people.
Funny? I can't tell you. Funny.
I have one idea to make it could be considered funny, because I have footage of it.
What?
Roughly, he was older than you, so you probably had witnessing of the bizarre antics of Vincent Gigante and bathrobism.
No, I don't want to get into that.
Okay, you know he's dead now.
I know, but I knew his brother.
Oh, okay.
Father Gigante.
Okay.
And he built a lot of housing in the Bronx, Father Gigante.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were very friendly. I had to investigate him and make sure that he was doing the right thing with the housing. And turned out that he was very good. He got a lot of housing for poor people. But funny, I can't think of anything funny. I can tell you a lot of stories, but I can't tell you funny stories.
Well, I was saying the other day, like when I ordered from Venero's, how they had the Oreo cheesecake, Italian Oreo cheesecake, and I was like, you know what, this makes sense because Oreos was established around a few years after the Civil War as a product.
Oh, really?
So the idea of Veneers, how old it is, being made in the early 1900s, it could always have not had made as an option to sell the Oreo Italian cheesecake. I remember on the phone you were like, yeah, that's like a riot and protest waiting to happen if you did it in your days. Do you remember that phone call?
No.
Of course not. Do you have any conversations you had with random individuals, say in the street, the subway, somewhere within the city or 5 boroughs, that was so baffling it left you confused even hours after the person was out of your life? And Donald Trump does not count.
No, of course not. I don't want to talk about him. You know.
You already did on my podcast.
I did?
Yeah. It's pretty accurate, it's what you said. Did you ever meet Jimmy McMillan of the Rent is Too Damn High party?
No.
I have walked into him on the sidewalk at least 4 times.
Well, I don't know if I told you, maybe I told you previously how I first met Koch.
You have not. Continue.
My wife and I were upset that they were going to transfer black and brown kids from Little Italy Chinatown into Greenwich Village. They want to integrate Greenwich Village, but they would have been in separate classes. That wouldn't have been an integration. And where my wife taught at PS 130, they had extra teachers to help the poor kids. They were all orphans living in an orphanage. And so I and two other friends went up to the political club, the Village Independent Democrats, where Koch was in charge. And we asked him to meet with him. And so when he finished with his meeting, he came and met with us. And we told him that he's making a mistake by supporting transferring these kids. And he said, look, you can't win this argument. Everybody in Greenwich Village wants these kids. And so I said, you don't want the kids. You just want them as to sit in the school, but that's not going to help the kids. And he said, well, you can't win this argument. So then he said to me, well, why don't you join this club? I said, the only reason you want me to join this club is because I'm Italian. And to my shock, and I was shocked, he came back and said, yeah, that's why I want you to join the club, because you're Italian. We need some Italians. And I said, well, at least you're honest, you know. And that's when he and I started to become friends, because he didn't, you know, just lie to me. He said he wanted Italians in the club, which shocked the hell out of me, that he would be so honest about it. And we became friends after that. I eventually joined the club and helped them get reelected. So that was kind of a surprise.
I got her, you saying that just jogged my memory. My mother told me about maybe 2 weeks ago that you were hired very briefly for Biden's first presidential run.
I wasn't hired. What happened was that Biden was a senator and he was running for president. I think it was 1988. And he was a friend of Ed Koch, so he came to City Hall with 3 assistants. And we had a meeting with him, and he asked Koch to support him for president. And Koch said, well, he said, let's wait and see who's running, you know, and I'll think about it. So then they asked to come into my office and meet with me. So I brought them into my office, and they said, and they wanted me to run his campaign in New York State when he announces for president. And I said, oh, sure, I'll do it. I know that he doesn't remember me. And, you know, he only met me for, you know, like a half hour. But 2 weeks later, he dropped out of running for president because he was accused of plagiarism in a speech. So that was my one claim to fame with Biden.
I'm like, how do you plagiarize a speech? Like, I don't like.
Well, what you do is this guy in Ireland gave good speeches, and most of the time, at that time, Senator Biden, would quote, when he quoted a line, he said, "This comes from so-and-so in Ireland." But a couple of times he forgot to do that, and that's plagiarism.
The man stutters. Like, I don't think that's a fair accusation.
Well, that's what happened to him.
Was it the GOP that made that attack against him?
No, the newspapers.
GOP-backed newspapers?
I don't.
Okay.
You know, he was running for president, and they attacked him. So he dropped out. History would have been different if he had run for president in 1988. Who knows, he might have become president then, when he was much younger.
Yep.
I met President Clinton when he was first running for president. And Harold Dickey's asked if I would help President Clinton. I said, well, I'd think about it. He said, well, we can have a dinner. Bring some people with you. So I brought Assemblyman Vito Lopez, Anthony Genovese, Stanley Schlein, and the county leader of the Bronx. I can't think of his name now. And we had dinner with him, and we were so impressed in those 3 hours with him that everybody signed on right away to help him run for president. And it was really Harold Dickey's that got all the unions in the state of New York to support Clinton. Harold did a great job. And we all stuck with Clinton. Even when the sex thing came out when he was running in New Hampshire. But everybody in New York stuck with him except one person.
I gotta know. Like, I remember, this is something I saw on the news like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. They were talking about when Obama was first running for president, had the establishment above him who are older were really not in favor of him.
Well, they were for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, no, but that's my point. Were you one of those motherfuckers?
Right.
Were you not into obesity?
No, it's just that we knew Hillary Clinton from when Bill Clinton became president. And so we felt she deserved it.
So in other words, you're saying you had to bend the knee?
I didn't bend the knee, we just wanted her to win.
So you kissed the ring?
She would have been the first female president of the United States. She was very bright.
Honestly,
She was a good lawyer.
I'm sorry, I deeply, deeply, deeply believe the first female president, it's going to be a Republican.
You're probably right. Because this is twice we've run a woman for president, and twice the majority of women voted against her. Besides all the men. I won't even go into the men voting against her.
Of course.
You know.
You know who, I have to bring this up to you. Because it's on my mind a lot lately. It's been like the last few days, George Santos gets shipped to a federal prison in New York. You think he gets pardoned? Let's be real. Him winning that seat, even though being kicked out, was a victory for Trump.
No, I understand. Well, who knows what... Trump is liable to pardon anybody as long as they suck up to him.
Yes.
I mean, he pardoned all the people at January 6th
I kind of wanted that to happen because I knew like a fuck ton of them were gonna die anyway a week after that, and they already did. From their own guns.
3 or 4.
Not true. It's at least 70 plus.
Oh, yeah. Don't believe that.
Okay.
Don't believe that. Anyway, those
A lot of them are back in jail too.
those people attacked.
No, I know. I don't believe what they did is right. I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying a lot of them wound back up in prison now in different states.
Well, I'll tell you how I joined the Air Force.
That'll be great.
And this Christmas time, 1950, the Korean War is on, and I'm sitting in a bar with a friend of mine, and we're just having a couple of drinks and talking. It's about, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and this airman walks in, the bartender's son. He was in the Air Force. And we barely knew him, but we knew him. So we invited him to sit down and have a couple of drinks with us. And he said, are you going to get drafted, or are you going to go into the Army? So I said, I don't know, the draft is on. I'll probably be called down. We'll probably both be called down to get examined at the draft board. He said, if I were you, you're so particular about your food, what you eat, I would join the Air Force, where I'm in the Air Force, and you're not in trenches or, on the ground eating. You're better off joining the Air Force. So I said to my friend that I was drinking with, I said, what do you want to do? He said, yeah, let's join the Air Force. So I went home. It was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My mother never went to bed until I got home. I was 20 years old then and working. And I said, I'm going to join the Air Force tomorrow. So my mother wakes up. My father says, your son's going to join the Air Force. He said, good for him. He went back to sleep. And the next day, we went down and we enlisted in the Air Force. But so many people were joining the Air Force that it took a good 3 days to enlist. And sure enough, on January 3rd, I was sworn in 1951 to the Air Force. They gave me 3-day leave and told me I had to leave on January 6th. Go to Penn Station and get on a train. And that was the beginning of 4 years in the Air Force, which changed my life because I met a lot of good people around the country, guys from all over the country. I got sent to Japan for 2.5 years while the Korean War was going on. I got to meet my wife in Japan. She was working for the Air Force. I got to meet my brother who was in the Army. I got to meet my cousin who was wounded in Korea, who came to visit me. So that evening in the bar, just having a couple of drinks, meeting this guy from the Air Force, changed my life. And the shock was when I got out of the Air Force and tried to get a job, I couldn't get a job. People would say, well, what have you been doing the last 4 years? So, well, I was in the Air Force. Oh, who cares, you know. So I was treated that way. Can you imagine what happened when the guys in Vietnam War, when they came home, people didn't like them. They couldn't get jobs. It's crazy how the American people sometimes get screwed up.
I think right about now is a good place to wrap it up. And I just want to conclude what we shot in this session today. If you have like lasting words, because I feel like as of now this could really be repurposed into almost like a mockumentary styled edit job for what an initial was going to be. So if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Well, I could wrap it up by saying that I got a job, finally got a job as a sample boy in a fabric house that sold fabrics to interior decorators who decorated these wealthy people's homes. And that really opened my eyes to what wealthy people are like. And sometimes I had to go to their homes and bring the fabrics to them. And for a kid who grew up in a tenement with a bathtub in the kitchen and no heat, we had a gasoline stove, to walk into these luxury apartments on Park Avenue, Fifth Avenue, was really an eye-opener. How the difference between wealthy people and working class people. Wow. I mean, you see it in the movies, but when you see it in real life, you see what you have to go through if you want to make it in life. You got to really work hard and try to have an ambition to do something. I was lucky that that was an eye-opener for me. And I started talking a little different and trying not to be a wise guy from the streets. I thought that would sum it up for you. What I liked about when I was stationed in Illinois in 1951, that the people in the Midwest were very friendly to the servicemen. And a lot of times we would hitch a ride with people. They would pick us up, pick 2-3 of us up, and take us into town. It was really nice that to know that people were open and friendly to servicemen. I don't know how it is today, but in 1951, everybody was very nice. Most people were very nice to servicemen.
You know, I've been watching a lot of Republican congressmen and women being booked on horrible podcasts on the internet. And what I've really learned is that, like, all of their arguments when they're beefing with each other can be defined as this.
Well, it sounds like they really know how to speak. I don't know how articulate the Democrats are compared to the Republicans, But the Republicans are saying the same stupid things, and they're getting away with it.
You know, I've really learned how to define Republican logic in a format of a yo mama joke. Like, your mama's so stupid, she thought getting COVID was a choice. Like being a Democrat or a homosexual.
That's ridiculous.
What?
What you just said.
That is not my words. I've seen people on Twitter who are open Republicans who happen to be real people make claims like that.
Huh. I don't. They'd have to be idiots.
Yeah, no, completely. Why do you think I named my podcast Mocking Them, ironically?
Well, I don't know if you want to waste time mocking Republicans.
It's not just them. It's any form of idiocy that has the media as its attention on. It's eye on the pulse.
I see.
That's why I said they're like,
Right. Well, it's crazy, but that's life in the big city.